New York City is not only the economic engine for the state, but for the entire country. New York City has always relied on housing to attract and retain the talent that drives our economic engine. The affordability crisis in housing is one of our great challenges facing our city today. More than 50% of New York City's households are rent burdened, utilizing 30% of their income to pay their rent. 30% of New York City's households are severely burdened, allocating over 50% of their income to pay for their rent.
Way too many New Yorkers can't afford their rent. It's a situation that we know in this administration is untenable, not just for those families, but really for the future of this city.
New York is a city of renters, and it's important that we continue to build rental housing, both market rate and affordable, mixed income, really throughout the city.
Companies today locate their businesses where the workers are. And in order to attract them, we need to have affordable housing.
Here in New York City, we are at an all-time high in terms of population, with more and more people wanting to live and work here. We've been in a housing emergency with an extremely low vacancy rate since 1974. There is a lack of supply.
It's also a math problem in the production of units. If you cannot get the sufficient return on your investment, then you won't invest in building multifamily rental units in New York. And that is why we've been in this state for quite some time, where we haven't been able to keep up production. In the 80s and the 90s, there was a significant reduction in the number of units permitted in the city. In the 1980s, we produced roughly 12,000 units per year. That dropped down to, in the 90s, about 7,000 units per year. 2000 and 2010, that average was about 23,000 units per year. In the current decade, we are approaching 20,000 units of production per year.
In order to have affordable housing in New York City, whether it's low-income housing or middle-income housing, the city and state have to provide subsidies to make it work, because the costs here are very high. Costs for land, costs for labor, tax costs are very high. So if you want to make affordable and middle-income housing work, you need MONEY.
In 2017, the governor launched an unprecedented 5-year, 100,000 unit affordable housing plan. At the same time, also reauthorized what is called Affordable New York, which is the tax exemption that drives what was formerly known as 80/20s, largely in Midtown Manhattan. Those projects provide critical mixed income housing in high opportunity areas. They're really essential affordable housing units for the state.
We in the de Blasio administration have certainly put our money where our mouth is, providing more than $13 billion of capital funding for the Housing New York plan. So we now have a 12-year housing plan to build and preserve 300,000 homes across the 5 boroughs. 250,000 people who will be served by that plan, essentially the size of Boston.
We recently financed 1,000 units in the city. Rents range from affordable to middle income. And for those 1,000 units, we had 90,000 applications, which tells you the enormous demand for affordable and middle income housing in this city. You have a very, very deep tax abatement subsidy now for new construction. You don't have any abatements on existing housing, and the taxes there are double what they should be. Single-family homes represent about 50% of the total market value of all properties in the city, yet only pay approximately under 15% of real estate taxes. Rental multifamily represent between 20 and 24% of total market value of all properties in the city, yet they pay almost 40% of the total taxes. And that's an inequality that is unsustainable, given the fact that 60% of the people who live in the city are renters.
The private sector can't solve this problem alone, and the government can't solve the problem alone. It takes a true public-private partnership and bringing all of the stakeholders together. Rob Spire and his incredible leadership of REBNY over the last 5 years helped create the new 421A plan that will be one of the key drivers in producing affordable housing for decades to come.
We've absolutely recovered from the downturn of 2008 financial crisis, and we're hopeful that the Affordable New York program that was passed will get us back to where we want to be.
What's great about New York and New York City's neighborhoods is both economic diversity, ethnic diversity, and the vibrancy that that creates in all of our neighborhoods. And all of these tools that we have around affordable housing are really sort of the lifeline to keep the diversity in our city.
Teachers, nurses, police men and women, people who are just starting out, immigrants are impacted by not being able to find affordable housing. And these are the people we don't want to lose. We need them for the future of our city.
Affordability is critical. It cannot just be a city of the wealthy. It needs to be a city of all.
The Real Estate Board of New York remains committed to being part of the solution to address the housing shortage. REBNY members, working together with our partners in government, can and will build the housing we need to ensure a brighter future for the greatest city in the world.